How can a Christian bring interfaith unity among the community in a social justice, cooperative, economic context while simultaneously being an apologist?
Read that one more again.
I said the same thing. How can a Christian bring interfaith unity among the community in a social justice / cooperative economic context while simultaneously being an apologist?
Y'all gonna make me answer this one. Okay. Well, I think look at the civil rights movement first. First off, I think when you look at the civil rights movement, you see that people were cared about humanity. So I think when you look at the law, when you look at places like Leviticus 19 and you look at other places in the scriptures, there is this sense of that's what the second part of the law, when Jesus was asked, what's the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. The second is like the first. Love your neighbor as yourself. Deuteronomy 6:4 is the first part of the commandment. The first part, that's love God. Second part is in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, I believe, the B part of the verse or C part of the verse. So you put the question up there because this is a complex question. So when you look at when it says how, my eyes are horrible. I'm gonna look over here. There we go. Okay, so how can a Christian bring interfaith unity? I think one of the things that when we talk about interfaith unity, I think we need to learn how to be nice to people. Being nice, like down the street from my church, we had a homosexuals married to each other, women who were pastoring the Episcopal church down the street from us. But we didn't hate them, we loved on them, right? Now, I know if some of y'all are dealing with that, I'm sorry, I just had to mention that. But interfaith unity, by loving them and being affirming of them in the sense of human beings, we don't have to agree with a person's doctrine or their sociological ideology, but what we have to do biblically based on the Imago Dei is value them no matter their ideology. Okay, so interfaith. So when we talk about interfaith unity, now if we're saying, can we fight for justice together on a justice issue? It's according to who's leading it, and it's according to if whose ideology is in the front of the issue. Because even when you look at Israel coming from when Darius put out the edict, it was for all the religions. So even Israel religiously and socioeconomically benefited from an edict that wasn't necessarily a spiritual edict. And I'm pretty sure that they were nice to the other people who were under Persian rule who had other religions. See what I'm saying? But then when we go to now, how do you balance that with basically saying social justice, cooperative economic context, while simultaneously being an apologist? That means you learn how to. That's to me. That's just simple. That's Colossians chapter 4, verses 2 through 6. Pray for the open door for the word. Act with wisdom towards outsiders, knowing how to respond to each person, making the most of the opportunity. Let your words be seasoned, as it were, with salt, as it were, with grace. And so, what we're doing while we are cooperating with different ideologies and different religions, which they did all throughout the book of Acts. You can seek the common good without unifying your spiritualities. But then at the same time, you utilize your common connection to in humanity to help people in order to say, yo, I got to talk to you about this gospel though, right? And so that's something that we've worked through. There were times though, like the Nation of Islam, we did a big outreach. We spent $60,000 last year and served 3,000 people in our city in one day. Nation of Islam came around passing out their pamphlets. You can't do that around here. If you want to come serve us, serve people, but you can't be out here giving out the final call. That's not going to work out here because now this is spiritual warfare. And so now we have an issue now. If there's a justice issue that happened in the community and a black kid was killed in the community, am I going to go up there and say, well, we can't go up there because the Nation of Islam is at the microphone? No, the church needs to be a prophetic voice, not a pathetic voice in the midst of that. And that means we're fighting as human beings and human citizens by what? The Bible says, seek the peace of the what? City. When you look at Titus chapter 3, verse 1, it talks about loving your city and its government officials. So you don't have to have spiritual unity because you're not coming around their God and they're not coming around your God. Biblically, we're able to seek the peace of places. Like, can you imagine what Nehemiah had to do in Artaxerxes' place where there was literally sex happening in front of him, right in the throne room, as he's standing in there as the cupbearer. So how do you work? And I'm not saying we do that, like go in a place like, see, he said, man, we supposed to be up in there where the sex is happening. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there were times like this is not the first time that Christians had to live in tension with a broken culture, yet seek the peace of it, and God had placed them there. So
good. Let's try to get one or two more. Go one more.